Hi, this is Cab with a very concise build guide for Explosive Arrow. I thought I'd open just with some gameplay here from the Minotaur map, Maze of the Minotaur. The map has no boss damage or boss health mods. I like to do the map like that. It allows me to gauge my damage setup. And you'll see that I get the boss. It was about 55% health when I started here. I did die once just through carelessness. And I think I killed him in about a minute. From this point, so to kill this boss in 2 or 3 minutes is pretty good, I think. Basically, I'm trying to avoid the circle areas. That's where the rocks are falling, and the lightning is very hard to jump across, so I generally try and stay with the boss when all the lightning areas are active. I do have to cut across at once, you'll see. Throwing down Orb of Storms and Decoy Totem. The Orb of Storms gives me power charges, as well as cursing the boss with temp chains and Warlord's Mark. And at some point when he's about 5%, I do actually just switch over to my other attack, which has a culling strike somewhere around here, and that finishes the job. So you can see there's quite a lot of damage there. And the point of this build was to be able to kill Guardians, because my last build I just couldn't do it, and I went Explosive Arrow. I saw someone clearing Hall of Grand Masters once. That was before they nerfed it with Frost Wall, so I really made this build dedicated single target rather than shotgun. But it just so happens the shotgun is still highly effective, and that's why the Minotaur map you can get a fairly quick boss kill, because there's always a bit of shotgun from the walls and from the ads. Here in the Phoenix map, Forge of the Phoenix, again with no boss damage or boss life on the map, it's a much longer kill. I think probably total with 6 minutes plus, which is still decent. I actually find it kind of boring. This boss kill is a lot easier just because it's easy to run around. There's no lightning areas to avoid. All my flasks anti-ignite, so whenever I touch them I've got some added safety. And it's just a matter of staying out of the way, mopping up the ads. So basically it's a single target build, and I'll get to this setup in a minute. The additional arrow comes from a Valorb quiver, so that just gives me a little bit of extra area, which is just perfect for this kind of map where the ads are not too dominant, and you get these small clusters of ads, and 2 arrows is all you need. 1 arrow is not quite enough, but 2 arrows is fine. LMP is overkill for ads, and you get a damage penalty, so having the extra arrow on the quiver really allows you to get much higher single target damage. We are using a level 4 in power in the +3 bow, so the Explosive Arrow is at level 28, because it's also a level 21 gem, and that's pretty important for getting high damage. Getting a +4 in a Challenge League costs a bit of money, about 6.5x I had to pay for the Empower. The whole build cost me 30 to 40x total, depending on what you want to value the rings at, which I'll get to. But you can do this more cheaply. One of my gems in the 6-link bow is a life leech, which is completely unnecessary. It's just a little bonus. Damage was so high I thought, why not just get a little bit more defense. We are running Volpact and Ghost Reaver for instant energy shield leech, which is not something I started with. I just got railroaded into it after initially actually struggling with the Guardians, and I went full on defensive with the Evolved Disciplines, which I actually barely need to use anymore, and some life leech and some extra ES. I'm up just above 11,000. We are CI, which was a deliberate choice, but I don't think it's really essential. And we are the Inquisitor, and we get the 0 enemy monster resistance on crit. So we're generally trying to crit. That's why I have the diamond flask. It's surprising how often you get the flask recharges with the ads in these 2 Guardian maps. So having a diamond flask, I should really be using 2, is very helpful. Alright, so that was 2 kills from 2 Guardians, And now I'll just switch over. Okay, this is Cab. I'm making my hideout. I did try and record this earlier. There's just so much to talk about. Turned into a very long waffling video. So I am going to actually cut it back. And I'm going to start by just showing you the difference between a level 20 and a level 28 explosive arrow. Alright. So this is an ordinary bow, which I don't use. I'm actually just trying to sell it for a couple of chaos. But I can illustrate with this bow how much damage a level 20 gem has. So here we are, level 20 EA. Look at that bottom line on the stat sheet there. 586 to 879 base fire damage. Okay, that was a level 20. We want to put the power in. So now this gem is level 28, as you can see from the top of the tooltip there. So we're at 586, and now we're at 1422 to 2134. So almost triple damage. Let's check the other one again. 586 to 879. 1422 to 2134. That's why we go to the hassle of getting this expensive gem, and this expensive gem, because this is 3.5x, 6.5x for this one in a challenge league, and bow itself was only 15 chaos. Just on the bow, make sure it's a crit base. We need that for this build. I'll get to the ascendancy in a moment. And get a crit affix. So 28% is decent roll, but I think you can get up to about 37 on a bow. Anyway, in a challenge league, this I thought was about as good as it was going to get, so I 6-linked it. Took about 10x worth of fusings, so expensive. Other gems, less duration, slower projectiles, life leech for defense, increased crit. This is the optional one. If you're a 5-link, don't bother with the life leech, just keep the others. And you can swap out the slower projectiles for an LMP if you're just clearing trash in a map for guardians. And this whole build was designed to be able to kill at least one guardian, and you know, I've easily killed 2. I cannot kill the Hydra yet, but I'm not very good with the mechanics of that map. I haven't tried the Chimera, but the Hydra, I did fail. I tried and failed. But I didn't have as much energy shield when I tried, so I'm going to go back and try it again. But yeah, it's so hard to avoid all of those projectiles. But I guess there's an art to it, because I also failed the other ones initially. I'm waffling again. Just a quick look at the quiver. It has an additional arrow. This is vital for clearing up the adds in the Guardian boss rooms. Very, very useful. If you don't have an additional arrow, you can still do the build. You just have to have an LMP in here to clean up the adds, but this helps a lot. But it's not enough for clearing up packs in maps. You know, in just normal mapping, I would use an LMP. Even a GMP sometimes. Alright, gear. We just have the enchant on the helmet here. This is an Uber Lab enchant. Just buy the enchant and then craft the helmet. Make sure it's on level 84 base. Just get the best chest you can with ES. Had to add some dex because I need 212 dex to use the bow. Always dex hungry, this build. Decent gloves with attack speed. Decent belt with movement speed. Pretty good boots. 30%. Don't settle for 25 on the boots, not with this build. I normally settle for 25, not this build. Movement speed is so important. And on that same topic, get a movement speed Chayur. So many of these get volatile just to try and get the +1 curse, so make sure you find one that's got the movement speed. I only had to pay 20 chaos. Pretty cheap, really. I'm not sure what max roll is. I'm guessing it's 5%, but you might want to check. Rings I'll talk about briefly at the risk of waffling. Look, with this ring I'm getting 53% increased fire damage total, and this one 52. So these are huge, more than doubling my base damage just with these 2 rings. It's incredible. I think it's better to use this base than the diamond ring, even though this is a crit build. The new rings have completely changed the ring dynamic. That's why, you know, arcing rings is not, I mean, it's kind of worthwhile, but you just don't get much money for them. Everyone's buying the higher base rings. To get 30% fire damage, you have to essence craft. I was using the Shrieking Essence of Anger. They cost 5 chaos each. I think the Deafening is not worth it, and it only goes up to 34% anyway. The ring should be 82 at least, so you can get T1 int possibly. I think this is T3, but you might as well try and get T1 if you can. And this is just a really good ring after probably dozens of essences. And same for this one. If that cast speed or attack speed, this would be absolutely OP for my build, but I can't use cast speed really, so still a good ring for my energy shield. If I take these off, I go from 11.2 down to about 10.4. So pretty huge. At 11.2, sometimes I've been able to tank the tunnel from the Minotaur. Now, I'm not sure if I had the flask up or not, but occasionally I have survived it. It can still kill me, but a few times I've survived it, which has been pretty useful. Not so much now, I'm pretty good at avoiding it, but when you're learning, having this high energy shield's pretty helpful. So that's the gear. Offhand, just another bow, just put in a culling strike, just to finish off guardians. I was leveling with, you know, a non-handed and offhand, and one would have LMP for, you know, clearing, the other one would just be for bosses, but once you get the additional arrow and 6 links, you can do everything with the same bow, basically. Flasks, depends what I'm doing, but for Minotaur, you can actually tank with, or accidentally had 2 basalts. One of these should be a granite, a basalt, stibnite. You put all those 3 up, you can tank it, and just, you know, when it's in a bit of a cluster with the adds and the wall, just do huge damage like you saw at the start of this video. Diamond Flask gives you a much higher crit chance. It's taking a bit of time to talk about this, but I think it's worth it. So if my crit chance is 65%, it becomes about 88% when I roll this flask. So the way I calculate that is take the chance not to crit, which is 0.35. Okay, if I'm 65%, then it means it's 35% chance not to crit. Okay, so 35 becomes 0.35. Then you times 0.35 by 0.35, and that gives 0.12. That means 12%. So 12% not to crit after 2 rolls. This flask just rolls your crit chance twice. In other words, I have an 88% chance to crit, which is pretty nice when you're dealing with a very tough boss. And no sort of serious promise or anything like that. Okay, just basic flasks. But you can change that. I do have a decoy totem too. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let's just look at the tree. Priority is to get these 4. So this will give you the Inevitable Judgment. Non-critical strikes penetrate 10% of enemy elemental resistances, and critical strikes ignore enemy monster and elemental resistances. So whenever you crit, you're critting with the monster at 0% fire res. Unfortunately, I think it means you can't go to negative resistances, so you don't get any benefit from using flammability or a similar curse. But still, I think it's pretty useful. This one is awesome, just gives you more attack speed, so this is your second priority. And the last one is this, which I'm not really a big fan of, but you can't have everything being great, right? Bit more damage, a little bit of defense, nothing major. So that's the ascendancy. Rest of the tree is just a lot of travel, all the way across here, all the way over to here. Just say a couple of things. Just grabbing energy shield opportunistically. Try and get these big nodes here and here. Good energy shield down here. This is a little secret little node here, which is easy to miss, but very good for just 2 nodes. You get, what, 10-15% total. Definitely worth getting. And we come down here just for movement speed. Bit of an energy shield as well. And another movement speed down here. Okay. I did have this at one point, but spec'd out of it. Just wasn't worth it. Only 3% each. Defense wise, we have Ghost Reaver. I didn't want this and I didn't want Vault Pact, but I just wanted to increase defenses and I went for it. So, you know, if you want to get railroaded into this defensive meta, which I think is too good, I think they should just not even have Vault Pact. It's too powerful in my opinion. But yeah, it's pretty handy to occasionally get your health instantly regenerated. And you do have a lot of damage, so even if you only have 2% leech, you'll notice it. Doesn't always save you, but occasionally it does. I think I'll just show you the jewels. Trying to get 4 more jewels where I can. They're not awesome. Only 1 resistance on this one. Just damage, attack speed, resistance. We have 6 jewels, I think. Bit of crit. After I lost the diamond rings, I had to get some more crit on some of these jewels. Pure attack speed on this one. Only 12C to buy this jewel. Where's the next one here? Reduced mana cost of skills. You should have on, I don't know, at least 3 jewels, I think. It is mana hungry. If you need to get this, I had this for a lot of the game. I just spec'd out of it because I got into the habit of using Warlord's Mark. But if you need to, get these 2. And at one point, I think I had reduced mana on all of my jewels. But anyway, that's the tree. And speaking of Warlord's Mark, it is attached to Orb of Storms. And I'll save the video. Now, Orb of Storms it's a spell, but it acts like a totem. Alright, so that's it here. You put it down, it attacks anything that walks past. So, and I gotta admit, this is the one thing I picked up from someone else for this build. You can put a power charge on crit, and anything that walks past will get hit, and if you crit, you get the power charge. It's the only way I generate power charges. Would be nice to have Skyforth, but that would make this build, you know, up around 80-100x, right? So power charge on crit. Then we have curse on hit. So the same little thing applies our 2 curses. Warlord's Mark, temp chains. We have 2 curses because we got this node here. Whispers of Doom. I've almost thought about going 3 quick curse. I just don't know that I have the mana to do it. I'll just mention Temporal Chain slows down the enemy and it creates an extended ignite, so you get more damage. Warlord's Mark is the brilliant one. Not many people use this, but it's really good for this build. Just get in the habit of always putting down the Orb of Storms, especially when you're near a boss. And this means you get life leech. So if you don't have a life leech gem, doesn't matter, you get it from this. And it's enough to make a difference, a big difference. And you get the mana leech, so you don't run out of mana. Now, I do carry a mana flask because sometimes, you know, I forget to put this down, or it's not, you know, it's not close enough to the boss or something like that. And it's a slow mana flask, so just about 15 seconds. And I'll just give you a demo. I'll run my mana down, and that's the flask up, and it almost sustains me. You don't want it to fill up your mana too quickly, otherwise the flask effect disappears, but You know, 15 seconds is an eternity in this game, so definitely a good style flask. And since I don't have a life flask, no need to worry about having just one mana. I know manas are sort of frowned upon, but that's the way I'm doing it. Okay, so I've talked about the gear, I've talked about the attack gems, I've talked about Orb of Storms, just running Discipline for Energy Shield. Without Discipline, I'm only about 9.6. Okay. You might have seen me in the Minotaur fight use Blink Arrow. That's very important because, where is it? When you use the Flame Dash, the range of Flame Dash is almost not enough to get across the Arc of Lightning. You can do it, but you've got to start off right next to it and aim just over it, and you know, 3 out of 4 times you accidentally hit it. So with Blink Arrow, which is my middle mouse button, I can go right across screen. The one problem it has is that there's a 3-second cooldown. So in the Minotaur boss room, I have this up on the middle mouse button and Flame Dash on the right hand mouse button. In game, I normally just use Flame Dash, but for that one boss fight, the Mirror Arrow is definitely useful. I have a decoy totem. Sometimes I put the decoy totem down near the wall in the Guardian, and in the Phoenix, there's just a very small wall to work with, and sometimes you can get a bit of shotgun. In the Lair of the Hydra, I don't think there's any wall to shotgun from, which is another reason that map's a bit difficult. But mostly it's just dodging the projectiles going everywhere. Alright, I think I've summarized that pretty well. I'll maybe put in a bit of footage of some other boss kills. What you can do is take out Life Leech. And put in the increased burning damage gem, which I can't find. And now you basically have, in fact you want to take that out as well. By taking out less duration, you can get 4 or 5 arrows out before the explosion. With this in, it's only really 2 or 3. So when you don't use less duration, you get more burn, and you can have fun just one-shotting, you know, like high-tier map bosses. But just trying to do that's not necessarily the best way to do the boss fight. It's kind of funny to be able to one-shot things, but you know, it's just as easy to blast away for a little bit longer with the regular setup. Alright, so I think I'll leave it there. I will just quickly mention leveling. I leveled a Spark, switched to Explosive Arrow at about level 70 in Dried Lake Merciless, and switched to CI at about level 80 once I had some decent gear. This build takes time. I've spent half the league getting to where I am. Okay, it's expensive. You know, you're not going to be able to buy a level 4 in power in the first, probably not even the first week of the league. Alright, so you have to be a little bit patient. It's a really enjoyable build if you like constant progression, you know, week after week in the league. You know, just crafted these relatively recently. Next I'll probably upgrade a chest, might get this to a 6 link. That'll allow me to put increased crit chance on the Orb of Storms for faster power charges. Or I could go +3 curse. You will notice I didn't use Enfeeble on any of the Minotaur bosses, so don't think that you have to use Enfeeble all the time. Bear in mind they were just blue maps, not particularly difficult ones. Bandits get Creighton, Normal, Creighton, Cruel, and a Lyra. Merc, that gives you elemental resistance, attack speed, and +1 power charge. Okay, I'm not going to justify that, but in my opinion, that's the way to go. That's about it. So thank you for watching. If you try this build, good luck. If you just have a explosive arrow build anyway, and this maybe gave you some ideas, well, that's good as well. Alright, thanks for watching.